Yo, welcome back. This is MDawg. So I had this idea. I wanted to show you basically what carp fishing looks like across my three favorite fishing games, at least at this point. Which would be number one be RF4, number two be Fisher Online, number three Fishing Planet. So we'll start in reverse order. But I wanted to talk a little bit about like how I see. Oh, there's Fishing Planet. We'll start off at RF4 while we're looking at this. How I see carp fishing in these three games. I actually think that like overall, I've mentioned before kind of the preference order I have overall for the fishing games, with RF4 being my favorite. But with carp fishing, it's actually probably a little closer. I actually think carp fishing is quite good in all three. I'd still end up at the end of the day probably putting it in the same order as kind of overall. But this is sort of how I see it. When it comes to complexity of carp fishing, the simplest is fish your own line. There's less baits choices, less boilies. There's very limited currently. Now, out of all these three, that one's probably the most in early access, to be fair. But there's very few ground bait options. And the way ground bait works is just very straightforward. No matter what type of feeder fishing you're doing, it's very similar. Then complexity-wise, Fishing Planet gets a lot more complex. Just in terms of like when you go to the shop and you look at carp fishing, the number of boilies you have as an option. You actually do mix ground bait in Fishing Planet, so the number of ingredients that you can put with, or bases that you can put with aromas, and how you can do method versus PVA bags. You can spod the water. So the complexity does pick up a good bit in Fishing Planet, and then even more so in Russian Fishing 4. Even more types of rigs that you can use, more bait choices. If you've played RF4, you know that making ground bait or PVA has an endless amount of options. So that's how I see complexity. Now, another category that I thought was important to think about was the grindiness to unlock it, or how long it takes you to get into carp fishing. And I would say the worst at this, if the worst means it takes the longest amount of time, which that's debatable. Different people would even see that differently. RF4 takes the longest amount of time to get like reasonable carp gear. So the whole idea behind this video is like, okay, I love carp fishing in multiple games at this point. Like that's probably my favorite type of fishing, right? To get to carp fishing, legitimate carp fishing in RF4 takes the most time. I would say Fishing Planet's next, because really you can do some carp fishing along the way in Fishing Planet, but I just didn't feel like I was really carp fishing like with all of the tools and stuff available until you go to the level 50 lake. But to be fair, in Fishing Planet and in Russian Fishing 4, you do some carp fishing before in like higher levels, but like in RF4, it just takes a long time to grind up that silver to get the gear that actually can handle legitimately targeting carp. With Fishing Planet, it's not so much like how long it takes to get the silver, it's leveling up and getting to the maps where carp are located. Early on, you might be able to like fish from carp in Fishing Planet, but it's like the young variety, so really small, and it's pretty much all you see on some of the early maps. The least grindy for sure, not even close, is Fisher Online. I mean, second map that you unlock, Germany, feels like a carp place in certain parts of that map. You absolutely can afford those 18-kilo feeder rods and reels. I think there's like 600 silver plus the line cost or whatever. I mean, it's very affordable. Now, when you get to the higher levels, like I'm going to show you France in Fisher Online, and you have to basically like use a boat to chase down the fish if you're going to fish for carp with that size gear. So you will want to upgrade, and the gear does get more expensive. It does feel a little more grindy, but nowhere near what it takes time-wise than RF4 and even Fishing Planet. And then fishing mechanics, I still give the edge. Like I think the best is RF4. I would say Fishing Planet, with carp fishing in particular, Fishing Planet and Fisher Online are close. Maybe I'd give the slight edge to Fisher Online there, but So those are kind of some of my thoughts. Again, a lot of this is very subjective. This is going to be personal preference. Some of you are going to have a very different list. But let's get to fishing. And I guess what I'm hoping is that if you haven't done carp fishing in all these games, this will at least give you a brief look at what carp fishing can look like in each of these games to see if there's one that looks more appealing than the others for you. Or maybe to motivate you to keep going. Let's say you're playing RF4 and you just haven't gotten to carp fishing yet. Or maybe same with Fishing Planet. You need that motivation to keep grinding away. Or Fisher Online, you haven't played it at all maybe, and you're just excited to hear, well, I can get into carp fishing pretty quick. So there are definitely a lot of strengths to all three of these games. And some minuses, to be fair, for each of them. Okay, let's start with Fishing Planet, actually. We'll come back to RF4 last. Oh, crap. We lost our connection to the server. So we'll start at Fishing Planet, and again, we're going to go to the level 50 lake. I'll briefly kind of show you what's in the store, maybe. Even if it's this local store, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of variety of gear and baits. I'll try to do that in all three of the games if I can remember. But mostly I just want you to see a fish or two being caught. Which, by the way, the thing I'm most nervous about is RF4. I haven't fished there since the update last night, so I hope, a spot that I go to will still have active fish bites, and we don't have to wait too long, because this video can't go on forever. We're already 6 minutes in. Okay, here we go. We are at the Weeping Willow Fisheries. If you look in the shop here, and this is just the local shop, so this doesn't even have all of the options, although I think they do have a pretty good list of carp options. So, this is one of my carp setups you'll see me using. And then a Ranger is another one. It might be this one. But mostly what you want to do, if you've hit level 50 and you can come to this map, then you want to get these Deep Horizon 420s. And the reels you want to put with those, in my opinion, are going to be these Leviathan 10,000s. They work perfectly together. And put you in a position where you can really aggressively go after carp. And then if you look at the boilies, there's just pages and pages of boilies. So again, just kind of showing you that there is a lot of variety all the way up to level 50 that you unlock in terms of boilies. And then ground bait, same thing. Just a lot of options. So pretty cool. Let's go fishing. And let's see if we can get a carp or two. What I've got to be is disciplined here about not staying too long because, well, I enjoy carp fishing, so I can get distracted and just keep fishing. And if I'm going to show you a fish or two out of all three games, then obviously this is not a deep dive in any of these. This is a very shallow dive, just wanting to show you a little bit about what carp fishing looks like in each of them. All right, so again, to kind of give you an idea, this is let's actually use this one. This is our first line. This is our smallest setup, like I showed you the chubber. But we're using a PVA bag and some citrus boilies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's enough complexity here that if you've never done carp fishing, it can be a little confusing just figuring out how to set up the thing. Especially when you introduce PVA bags or method, just figuring out okay, where does the ground bait go? All right, let's see what's on this second line. This one we're using strawberry boilies. And again, this one's method. So we're using method feeder, not PVA. And of course, line, carp leader, size 6 hook, and strawberry. I think our fourth one, which is our strongest rod, has a size 8 hook, but besides that I'm using size 6 carp hooks, just trying to get a reasonable bite. All right, on this one we're using banana, and this one is just a straight normal setup, no method, no PVA, and honestly with this one, if all your setups, if you were going to go with this on all your setups, you'd probably want to spod the water by putting ground bait, here into your rocket and then casting that out into the water. But I'm just doing this on one, just kind of putting it out there with banana boilies, no ground bait or PVA around it. But we've got other PVA in the water, so I'm not really sweating it. This is tiger nuts on the last one. And again, we're back to PVA. This is a small PVA bag instead of a large one, but it still has those the PVA mix in there. The PVA mix that I put together for this trip is a banana strawberry mix, I believe. So we've kind of got, you know, different flavors, but nothing that, you know, everything that sort of would go with a strawberry banana type mix pretty reasonably. All right, so we got our first carp. This is good. The only bad thing about this is almost our weakest setup, which next time I, you know, get set up for a carp trip in Fishing Planet, if I decide to come back and spend some time fishing here, not just to make the video, but in general, I will definitely get a couple of more setups like my last two, just the full-blown carp setups. But I thought for this video I would leave the weaker stuff on there just to kind of show you some variety of gear and setups. So we need to change over ground bait. So here's a common carp that we'll keep. 578 bucks, 118 XP. We're not premium currently. All right, so it looks like we were out of PVA bags. So we need to, where's our PVA bags? Let's get some medium bags, put it right there. And then we got to grab that camo sinker, put that there, and then go to our strawberry banana. This is actually method mix. You can use method mix in the PVA, but if you're doing method, you have to use method mix in the method, if that makes sense. All right, so there's our first fish. But I think, oh, hopefully this will be another quick one. I think that, you know, the actual fishing mechanics, especially for carp in this game, are pretty good. And I also think that, maybe it's because I haven't spent enough time here, but this map doesn't feel, I mean, this map's huge, first of all. If you haven't ever fished at this level 50 carp complex, there's several lakes that you can check out. Let's go ahead and get this fish. But it doesn't feel as much like spreadsheet fishing as some areas do. I mean, I'm sure there's still hot spots and like ground baits and boilies that work particularly well at certain times of day, certain weather or whatever. But it feels like there's more variety in this map. Like, I never know exactly what I'm going to get in some spots at least. There's a leather carp. Let's see if we get a fish on right here. It's been nibbling on it. Yeah, I think we do. Good. All right, well, this will be the last fish on Fishing Planet. We do need to switch over to the Fisher Online. So again, there are reasons why overall, to me, Fishing Planet is clearly my third favorite game. By the way, we've got to do this video again sometime, like down the line, and include Dovetail's newest game, the Carp and Course or whatever. And we'll, oh, look at this ghost carp. That's actually a trophy ghost carp. A lot more silver, a lot more experience. That is pretty. That is really pretty. I guess one thing we can do really quick is show you like the variety basically of carp that are on this net. Let me figure out if I can see how to do that. I think if I just go to map, fish species. So anyway, Dovetail's game, Carp and Course, the catch, whatever the heck that thing's called. I don't really love the problem with Dovetail fishing games is the actual fishing mechanics feel so robotic to me. But to be fair, that is a game focused, at least half, 60% or 70% of the game I think is focused on carp fishing. So it might be fun to include that game just to even do a longer version of this video, all four, just down the line at some point. Okay, so we've got common carp all the way up to uniques. We do have crucians, ghost carps all the way up to uniques. Of course, there's like tench species and stuff. So a lot of the variety you expect to see around carp. A grass carp all the way up to unique. We've got the hybrid F1 carp all the way up to unique. Leather and mirror all the way up to unique, as well as mirror having all the way down to young, which is interesting. Prussians up to unique, but that's more of a small to mid-sized carp. Tench, and then the catfish here. So again, we'll look at like fish variety at each of these maps that I'm showing on these three games, but it's pretty cool to see all of those fish. So in the testing that I did for this video, I mean, we already caught some nice trophy grass carp, mirrors, commons, leathers, and then that trophy ghost carp we just pulled in down here. It's very cool. So like pretty quickly over 8,000 silver. You can see the XP we're getting without premiums, pretty decent. We're edging ever closer to level 51. So anyway, that's Fishing Planet. We're going to go ahead and exit now. And we're going to fire up the Fisher Online. Hopefully we're going to fire up the Fisher Online. There was an update in this too, but this game doesn't seem to get impacted by updates just in the same way that RF4 does. Interesting. Interesting. France. The ponds of Perochet? I don't know. Okay. So there was just an update, guys. I just want to look at something really quick. Yes, that's awesome. I love it when he adds these like premium things where you can purchase this with real money to support the development of the game. I actually genuinely love this. Contains the match float rod, 43 kilo reel, line, and float from the Bombard Gold kit with a warning light. Set for fishing large carp or silver carp. That's awesome. Oh, you can see what it looks like. Cool. Very cool. Okay. All right. So here we are in France. You can see the map here. This is the newer part of France. That's where we're going to go fish. I just really wanted to show you very quickly, though, rods and reels to give you an idea, again, of kind of what you're saving up for. So I have one Carp Hunter 2 and one Carp Hunter 3, okay? If you get to this level of gear, you're probably fine fishing here at France with carp, though you may occasionally hit one that's so big you either are going to take a long time to get it in or want to use your boat to more efficiently get it in. Anything less than this, you're going to use your boat a lot, most likely. And then the reels that go with it, this is the reel that goes with the first one. This is the reel that goes with the second one that I have. So you can see I'm getting right up to the point of where it's like, for the top carp gear I have, it's about 11,000 silver to put the set together, rod and reel. When I jump to the next level, you go up to 12,000 just for the reel, and then 12,000 just for the rod. And then again, there's one more level after that. I mean, this goes up to 40 kilos, so like the expert level. So anyway, that kind of gives you an idea. If you do your dailies and you kind of keep up with silver missions and stuff in the game, it's really not that grindy, especially not compared to the other games. But these are the Boilie choices, so very limited options. I think there's 15 total because you've got 4 here, and then 3 and 3. So those are the Boilie options. And then ground bait, it's really just, I mean, you have Lucky Fishing, but mostly what people are going to be using is like Carp Honey or even Universal sometimes. So again, it's just a little bit less complex, but thankfully still very fun. And we can check, one thing that always stands out about this game, of course, is, I guess this is the daily I did from last night. But we have an income quest for leather carp, but they got to be 7, or regular carp from 3 grams. I think I'll take that one. We could do the leather together. But where we're going, I think we're probably more likely to see common carp than leathers. If you fish in the smaller lakes over here or over here, but especially on this side, leathers like crazy. Really nice leathers. And I have gotten some leathers over here, but there's like the full variety of carp, I feel like, out on the big lake, where the smaller lake is a higher percentage of. By the way, there's a place to sell your fish here, so you don't have to go all the way back to the main town if you don't want to. You can just kind of swing over to the fish market here in your boat and then go right back to the island for fishing. I really like this spot for fishing, for carp fishing. And so let me kind of show you how I typically get set up out here for carp. And I usually do something like we'll have probably cabbage, boilies, fruit boilies, and then maybe strawberry. It's usually like those three. I think that's what I've been using most recently. I like the strawberry and fruit boilies because I tend to see more of the golden carp come in, which I think is just really cool. All right. So let's go ahead and put our rod pod down. And this is kind of what the interface looks like. We want to put our put our feed here. So here's the cage, the basket that we're putting on. We've got a bell tone, a leader, size 3 carp hook with cabbage. And so let's just go ahead and cast this out here. Get that early morning bite. Goes a country mile, doesn't it? All right, so that's our strongest setup. This is our second strongest setup. We'll add the carp honey ground bait. This one's got fruits, carp size 3 hook. So we're trying to, with that size 3 hook, trying to focus on some of the larger ones. And on this set, we'll go with a size 2 hook, a very sharp katana hook with tiger nut, I guess is what we've been using most recently. And you can see this one's a lot smaller. I mean, that we have a lot less strength in this line. So let's kind of put this out here. If a big fish gets on there, we'll definitely have to chase it down on the boat. But I do look forward to being able to replace that third line with a third Salambo. I think one of the lines is moving, isn't it? Or did I just see that weird? Maybe I saw it weird. Okay. So this is the Fisher Online. You know, one of the things I've heard people say is like, oh, I don't like the way Fisher Online looks graphically. I don't really see that. I mean, I think it looks great. Maybe it does have a little bit of a different style to it. I think it's the color palette that people are picking up on. It's maybe not quite as vibrant. I'm not sure what it is, but I've heard people say that people that don't play the game and will like see a video I do, they're like, oh. I don't really know, but that's what I hear. So we'll see. But again, one of the things that stands out to me about Fisher Online, and this is sort of true across the board, but especially with carp fishing, if you're looking for a little bit more casual experience and you're also wanting to be able to get into, you know, the fishing that you want to do, like carp fishing, sooner, then this, you know, this is a worthy contender for sure. If you're in it for the long haul and you want to like grow up your skills slowly, save up for your different equipment, and do a wide range of types of fishing as you level up, then something like Russian Fishing 4 is probably a better fit, and then you'll eventually get to carp fishing. And then somewhere in the middle of that, but has its own feel, its own strengths, but also its own problems, is Fishing Planet. And some of those problems, at least from a general perspective, is what kind of always holds me back from Fishing Planet. All right, come on, carp. We need some action here because we've got to get to Russian Fishing 4. And Russian Fishing 4 is actually what I'm worried about in terms of bite rate the most. Just because I don't know if spots have changed at all with that update from last night. So I guess they now have added, he has now added tournaments. How do you see tournaments though? Like I see someone just created one, but I don't really know how to get there. All right, so let's pull out this rod first. We get a couple of carp on here. Sounds like that second rod might have a big boy on there. It's even pulling line out of that. And if it's pulling line out of that, it's got some strength to it. So Fisher Online just had an update last night allowing premium, or I don't know, allowing some players to, I guess, create in-game tournaments now, kind of like RF4 does. But I don't have any idea about how it works yet. Or how the prizes are set or any of that stuff. Alright, so you could see like when this was just down on the pod, the fish was strong enough to pull out a little bit of line. But now that we've got this pulled up, we're pretty much manhandling it, so it's not too big. I'll tell you what, let's try to get one more fish on, and then I'll show you sort of, even whether it's a big fish or not, I'll kind of show you what it looks like to sort of chase down a fish on the boat. Because to be fair, that is an option in Fisher Online. On many maps, not just with carp fishing, but with a lot of types of fishing. On many maps, if you hook into a fish that's a little bit big for your gear, the great equalizer is that you can use your boat to kind of get back in the match with it. So kind of show you what that looks like. Someone else created a tournament, carp leather. I gotta figure out where the interface for creating or joining tournaments is in this game, though. I'm trying to think. It seems like the only real interface we have, unless I click on that in chat or something, but pretty much it's just like the normal menu, right? I really like the fishing mechanics in this game. I think are very solid. You'll see the fish, like if you pull it up towards the top, you'll see it kind of come up to the top of the water. Some fish especially will do a lot of jumping on the line, and that looks like a pretty nice fish. What do we think that is? Is that a leather? That's a big carp, isn't it? A large leather. Very nice. Over 2,000 experience. And if you hit the middle mouse button in this game, you pretty much cast back to the same spot that you were at before, which is kind of a nice... Oh, you know what? It might be here. Alright, store. So that's a shortcut to the store. I forgot about your... I wasn't thinking about this. Tournaments. Okay, private tournaments. Boat forbidden. 40 minutes. I wonder if that means... So the winner takes all, and you're putting tournament tokens. And then this person's, I guess, doing one with a lot of people, and there's no fund. So I guess no prize. And then here are the official tournaments from the game. Yeah, I forgot about that screen. That makes sense, though. Alright, so let's just assume that's going to be a really big carp on our small setup. If you were going to chase a fish down on the boat, you kind of pull up next to it, pick up your line. Looks like we'll have 2 to do now. And then you can kind of go towards it. You want to keep tension in the line. You don't want it to be slack. Oh, we just created complete slack. So sometimes that means slowing down or not driving right at the fish. It's a very small fish for us to be chasing down the boat, but there's a small leather carp. Then we'll go back and pick up our next rod. Is it the first one or the second one? I guess it's the first one. Yeah. Alright, let's see what's on here. This is that one we cast out so far. I think we got a third fish on. Okay. Well, you're going to see 3 fish from the boat, I guess. So I don't know. I'm just guessing that for some people this might be a little bit of a, like, feeling like you're cheesing it or a turn off in terms of, I mean, you don't have to do it, obviously, but the option is there. You know, I think about when you hit level 12 and maybe you've got some smaller feeder setups. Maybe instead of going straight to the 18 kilo feeder setups, you bought those 12 feeder setups. And you go to Ukraine and you try to fish for wild carp. And you realize, whoa, these wild carp fight a lot stronger. And they're a little bigger than I realized. And that's where using the boat for the first time really comes in, I feel like, at Ukraine. Although some people might at Germany as well. Do we want to do that without the... I think we want to do that without the quest. That income quest will be nice, but we really want to use like 4 kilo or 4.5 kilo and under for carp that we catch for that. So, yeah, it's definitely a reality of this game that the boat can be a part of it. Again, it doesn't have to be, but... And there was a time, I mean, remember, this game is in early access. There was a time in the early access period of RF4, pre-Steam, I think, where we could do this same thing. You would be bottom fishing, and then you would sort of transition to using the boat to which you cannot do that anymore, by the way, in RF4. And I have no idea if you can do that in Fishing Planet. I mean, there's not boats on that carp fishing map, so presumably if there were maps, maybe you could. I don't remember how it works in terms of, can you pick up a rod from the boat? That's the key thing, because obviously you can't get into a boat holding a rod. I don't think you can. I think when you get in a boat in Fishing Planet, it resets all your equipment. So unless you're fishing from the boat, I don't think you would be able to transition to the boat. So real quick, we're switching to RF4 here. But one last thing on... Well, I take that back. 2 last things. Here are the fish on the lake. So this fish has mirror carp, regular carp, which are like commons, golden carp, grass carp, pond trout, not carp, silver carp, motley, and then carp leather. So again, I'm trying to feature some of these higher level locations in each of these games where there's just really a lot of variety in the type of carp you can go after. So here's just an example for you, okay? We've caught 5 fish, none of them huge, but this one's okay. This almost 14 kilos leather is worth 70 silver. We have a total net of 157 silver. That takes us up to 1,200 silver. And just for reference, remember that top of the line gear is going to cost you around, what would it have been, like 50,000 silver? But that top of the line gear, I mean, I don't think a lot of people use that. You certainly can fish for carp very successfully with like the step down from that, or even the step down from that. So not that grindy, especially if you're doing daily quests and different income quests. Okay, so there is the Fisher Online. And last, but certainly not least, let's see if we can catch any carp here in RF4. And I'm going to try to make a, go very quickly, what am I doing? Go very quickly out to the spot, and we're just going to really hope that this spot is still active, so you can at least see me catch 1 or 2 carp in the short time that we have left. I didn't look in this store, but just take, I mean, I can show you in my inventory, because I do have a lot of inventory built up in this game. But there is a ton of equipment. If you haven't seen this game before, or specifically carp fishing, there's obviously a ton of equipment in this game, a ton of boilie and bait options. This peg that we're going to fish at is so close we could have probably just run here, but I'm trying to save time, so we brought the 4-wheeler. You know what's funny? I was sitting here trying to think, like, okay, how do I put the pod holder down? Oh yeah, I can't. I don't remember the clip here. I don't remember what clip I was using here. All right, we're gonna go 30. 30 feels safe. I think it was like 25 though. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it was. All right, hold on. I can figure this out real quick. Might as well get him in the right spot. I think I've got this in Discord listed. It's funny how both Fisher Online and RF4 had updates last night. All right, so on my Discord channel, there's been a lot of people who have been active. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, sounds like this spot has slowed down since the update. This is what I was afraid of. I apologize, guys, but give me 1 second here. All right, we got to move spots. So this spot apparently has pretty much died since the update, but I think the other spot that was a little bit okay before the update might still be reasonable. So let's run over there real quick. So, again, part of the complexity of Russian Fishing 4 is not just in the amount of gear, bait variety, how many different rig types you can have, the way that there's skill points, you're leveling up and accruing skill points and investing them in different areas. So obviously those types of things certainly do contribute to the complexity and the amount of stuff that's going on with carp fishing and just in general in this game. But another part of the complexity is that this game, you know, and from a positive side, this game very much feels alive. Fish are moving around the water bodies, bait preferences are changing, and this isn't just something that happens like every 6 months. I mean, this is constantly happening to different degrees. And so, yeah, the game really does feel alive, but it also means that, you know, if you haven't done your homework, like I haven't since the update, and figured out where the fish are biting, then you may just end up in a spot where there's just no fish there today. There's just no fish there right now. Ooh, that would have been depressing if I would have gotten stuck on that. You can get stuck on that in such a way that it is not pretty. So yeah, that definitely, again, adds to the feeling of this game, this fishing game more than any other to me feels like it has almost like things that it has drawn from other genres, like MMOs basically, with just real complexity to it. All right, I got to think about where we're going right now. I think we're going to down here, but let me, I'll know when we get there in terms of the coordinates. And I also don't really know the clip over here. I have not fished this spot in quite a while. I've just heard people talking about it before the update that it had gotten pretty good again. But I think in the past I was using like maybe a 35 clip over here. Sometimes even 40. It's a little longer clip over in this spot. We'll just try 35, I think, and hopefully we can just get a fish. That would be really embarrassing to come do carp fishing in RF4 and then not be able to catch anything. All right, let me see if this is about right. Down with these rocks, I think. Yeah, this is it, right? All right, and we just want to kind of cast straight out here. And again, I'm going to go to clip 35. I'll show you kind of what we're fishing with here in a second. We want it to go left? Yeah, if possible, we kind of want it to go left, but it's no big deal. We've got really strong rods and reels at this point, so. And we could even put one at a 40 clip. I'm not sure that quite went 40. All right, I was going to show you, back when I thought the other spot was going to be working, I was going to show you one with classic hair rig. So this just shows you all the different rig types you have in this game. Some of them are carp rigs, a couple of them aren't. A lot of them are though. But we better go to classic pop-up on all three of them. You put your lead core in. This is your bite indicator. We're using blinkers, but there's a lot of different ones. You got to put a leader on there, a carp hook, and we're going to go with, what are we going to go with on this one? Something safe maybe. Let's actually go with a smaller boilie to see if we can't maybe get a quicker bite. And we'll use corn and then just mussel dip. And then I think I'm using the tuna and mussel, nope, spicy mussel PVA. So like, for example, this PVA has a base, 4 additives, and an attractant all in there. We've already got a fish on. That is such a good sign. And that's on the 40 clip, yet it wasn't really at 40, right? So, all right, let's cast this one out here. All right, I'm glad that we are getting some bites. So you also have to eat and drink in this game. Just a lot more complexity across the board. A lot more going on. And I think the actual mechanics of fishing is probably best in this game, but the other two, especially with carp fishing, aren't bad either. So this is a small guy. We're pulling him straight in. Nice common carp. They look very good, don't they? Fish graphics look really good. 4 kilo common carp. So we'll get that back out there. Let's make sure it goes 40. And so on this one, we're using, bait-wise, we're using caviar 20 with caviar corn and caviar dip. Same PVA. This one using garlic mussels, a different corn, mussels, and same PVA. All right. So let's see if we can get one more fish here. Before we wrap this long marathon video up, going from 3 different games, showing you what carp fishing looks like in all 3, and not just carp fishing, but carp fishing in the ideal spots. Like this is Amber Lake, right? This is the lake that you get to towards, you know, when you're higher level, and it's all about carp fishing. I can go ahead and show you the records here at Amber. We've got, what do we have here? Common carp ghost, common scaly albinos, frame-sided carp, frame-sided ghost carp, linear albino, linear ghost, mirror albino, mirror carp, mirror ghost, red starvis carp, scaleless albino, scaleless ghost, starvis red carp. So the variety, obviously nothing else competes with the variety on this map. in any of the other games, but it's quite amazing. Really is. Okay. Well, it's the time of day that really we should get another bite here. I don't think we'll have to wait too long. I'm trying to get one more fish for you before we wrap this up. I know that this has been a very quick, sort of chaotic journey across all three games with carp fishing, but to get this in under an hour, I just could not spend much time going deep or talking about the specifics in any of them, but hopefully it's been good just to see a little bit of each. Beautiful. Here we go. One more carp for you. Unfortunately, it's not a big one. We might give it another couple minutes before I stop recording. Let's just see if we can't get a decent size here. It may be that after the update, there's just really small ones left, but at least we are getting bites, and that looks like a leather. I'm sorry, a mirror. Why did I say leather? I knew it was mirror. I guess I can go ahead and mention. Oh, let me show you a couple things. So, in terms of carp rods, there are tons of different options. I mean, I just have some carp rods. There's way more, reels. I mean, if you haven't seen the Russian Fishing 4 in-game store, there's so many different types of reels. But the real thing I wanted to show you just with baits, of course, there's all the normal natural baits, fish and stuff. But boilies, when you get to boilies, you've got just unimaginable amounts of options. And these are the sinking boilies, and you get to the pop-up boilies, which is what we're using now as pop-ups. And then you've got pellets, which you can put with your sinking boilies, corn, which goes with your pop-ups, dips, so you can dip the boilies in different flavors. And then, with the ground bait and PVA, there is just, I mean, if anything, it's a little bit like overwhelming for people, I think, when they first, oh my gosh, first get here. So our biggest fish so far caught on our on the smallest boilie. This is the one we put the smaller size boilie on. But hopefully this fish here on the second rod's a good one. So let's see what this is, and then let's get that last fish in, and then we will have to wrap up this recording. But hopefully this has been enjoyable for you. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay, fish are biting. 124.66 seems to be an okay spot right now. Probably another leather, but can't really tell for sure. I mean, sorry, I keep saying leather. It's because I've been playing Fisher Online so much. Probably another mirror. It is, in fact, another mirror. This fish swam right towards the shore. There was so much slack in the line at first there. All right, I don't know if you can tell on the bottom left-hand side of the screen there, my energy's getting a little low. So we're going to drink a little bit of coffee and tea, because after this fish, we've got another one. Is this a barbel? Oh, very cool. It's always fun when barbel, nice barbel too, are biting in a carp spot. That's always a good time. And last fish, not very big, but maybe it'll be a big barbel again. but more likely just a small to medium-sized carp. Now, RF4 does have cafe orders, but there's just no way around it. RF4 is a grindy game. It's something where, I mean, it's a very good game, but you need to put in a lot of time to make the silver, to gain the levels, experience, level up to higher levels where you can come to some of these more advanced maps. And then even more so to get enough silver to purchase some of the nicer gear. It's just that's why when I went over, the grindiness or how long it takes to get to carp fishing, RF4 is definitely the longest on that list, in my opinion. Okay, once again, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Let me know if this was fun. I know it's probably a specific type of, gamer or player who this is useful information to. Many of you have played all of these games and know what carp fishing is like in all of these games, but hopefully it's helpful for someone. But I appreciate you watching it, and I might do this again sometime. Like, I really enjoyed putting this together, and I think maybe there's ways I could approach it to even add some diversity from video to video in doing this like multi-game comparison. And again, maybe including something like a dovetail fishing game, just to have another example of a way that a game is approaching specifically carp fishing. Thanks for being here. I will see you next time. Peace out.